knowing what you know and what you're willing to share, how'd you take Joe Burrow's comments that started with, if I want to keep doing this, talking about having fun and not having fun, talking about how there's a lot weighing on him, personal, professional. What can you say about what you heard from Joe Burrow and what it means, Tom?
Joe Burrow has rarely, if ever, had a normal season, Rich. I think start there. And anytime that a player is repeatedly dealing with injuries, it's going to weigh on them, in a lot of different ways. I sat there with Joe Burrow the second week of training camp this year and talked with him, and I, half jokingly said to him, hey, I was supposed to be here two of the last 3 years to interview you. Once you had a wrist injury, and the other one you had your appendix out. He's like, oh, it's you. I'm like, no. The fact that I'm here interviewing you now proves I'm not the jinx. But it's become part of the Joe Burrow experience, which is there's just all these bad luck things that he seems to be dealing with. Tearing his ACL in his first year, dealing with the wrist injury that he had, dealing with the appendix. I believe there was a calf or some other injury that he dealt with as well. There's a lot of different things. And then this year to come out, not play, they didn't play great as an offense. It wasn't on Joe. They didn't play great as an offense in week one. Then week two, you suffer a severe turf toe injury. You work your butt off for 2.5 months to beat the timeline and get back. And then in your second game out, it's the defense that lets you down and can't get a stop. Now he throws two, back-to-back picks. One's a pick six in that game, but overall Burrow played at a really high level. And the Bengals, as so often has been the case, they just can't stop anybody. Joe Burrow, got his contract a couple of years ago. He made his push last spring, last January, February, that, hey, we need Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson. We need all those guys back. And they did it. They gave him all those players. The guy who's not been available has been Joe Burrow. And that's not to blame Joe for, having the injuries that he's had. It's just the reality that, your best, your highest paid player, your most important player hasn't been out on the field. I think it's natural, for that to weigh on a guy. Obviously, there's other factors here, like the fact that the defense has been an ongoing issue that leads to some of that frustration. But I looked at that much more about the internal piece of this for Joe Burrow. I mean, if every single year, Rich, you had an injury that took you out for 5 months of the show, by year 7, you'd kind of be like, God, am I going to keep doing this? Like, is this worth it? I'm not enjoying this a whole lot anymore. That's where it seems like Joe Burrow is right now. He still believes he's one of the best in his profession. I agree with him, but you'd like to think that he'd be on the field more than he has been. And it's pretty apparent that mentally, physically, emotionally, that has taken a toll on him.
Okay, so if I pick up what you're putting down, if we gave you a multiple choice of who was he referring to, or what was he referring to about if I want to keep doing this, is he referring to the injury gods? Is he referring to the front office? Is he referring to his coaching staff? You would choose injury gods? Bengals, writ large. You know what I mean? Those are your 4 choices. So who is he referring to about if I want to keep doing this anymore? Because that sure sounds like something that might have been going through Andrew Luck's temples,
Well, and that's
back in the
and
day,
that is
Tom.
that's the example was, Andrew Luck walking away when he did, which was,
Right.
a stunning thing in the middle of the preseason in August. But that was years of, the hits adding up. And Andrew Luck played the game differently than Joe Burrow. Andrew Luck played like a linebacker. He wanted that first contact. He wanted to get hit and run people over. Joe, it's not as if he's, exposing himself. Like they have been kind of freaky types of things. You get tackled from behind and your foot bends a certain way. You tear the ligaments in your toe and it ends up being, a 2-3 month type of an injury. So it's one of those deals where
no, I hear Tom. I hear you, but I'm the host of a sports talk radio simulcast on Disney Plus, ESPN app, and ESPN Radio. When I give you a multiple choice question, you must answer it. You know what I mean? Like
injury gods.
Who do you think he's? Okay,
I believe it is injury gods as much as anything. Let's entertain the other options here. If we are talking, as you put it, coaches or Bengals writ large. The idea that Joe Burrow would, for instance, request a trade and that the Bengals would actually grant that request and trade one of the top 5 players in the league when he's healthy would be, I would categorize it as far-fetched for a variety of different reasons. Chief among them, the Bengals don't make trades. It is very, very rare. They've done it more in recent years. They traded Logan Wilson this year. They traded for running back Khalil Herbert last year. But they've made like 3 trades since the 1970s. For Joe, weren't willing to trade. Really weren't willing to trade Trey Hendrickson. Their philosophy, Mike Brown's philosophy, has long been: these are my players, and you can't have them. The idea that Joe Burrow, they're just going to go, well, Joe's, he's frustrated. We're just going to trade him away. There are so many steps that would have to go into that. Are there different levers that, if he is feeling that way, that he and his agent could pull? Certainly. I mean, we've seen wild things happen across the NFL. But it's not as if, oh, well, now that he said that, every team's going to call and the Bengals are going to ship him off in February. That is way many steps down the line before we'd even get to having a realistic discussion about that. What I took away, and I appreciate Joe's honesty when he gets rolling, when he gets talking, he will say honest stuff. And in the sense that I got was, there are a variety of reasons that he's frustrated right now. But, how enjoyable would it be if every year, a job that you love and you can't do it 2/3 of the time, that's going to wear anybody out.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.